I will call this meeting of April 3rd to order.
Okay. The City of San Clemente respects the many people of different faiths who reside here. The City Council historically begins its session with an invocation offered by one of the religious leaders of our community with full appreciation of our shared belief that we are one nation under God. And while the City cannot endorse any particular religion, we respect the religious freedom and freedom of expression of all our citizens to pray as they feel led to pray. This evening's invocation will be given by Chris Smith of South Coast Church International.
Is Chris here?
Is he here?
I don't see Chris here. Okay, well, do you want off the invocation? Or?
Sure, I could do an invocation.
Okay, I'll do the Pledge of Allegiance then.
Okay. All right, if you could please stand. Dear Lord, we gather today to contemplate things that are important to the city of San Clemente. Thank you for this glorious spring. Thank you for the symbol it represents, which is abundance and hope and renewal. Help us as council people to do by your will this evening, and in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our great nation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilmember Donchak. Councilmember Swartz.
Here.
Councilmember Ward. Here. Mayor Pro Tem Ham. Here. Mayor Brown.
Here.
First item on the agenda is a toll road update.
I don't have an update per se, and one of the reasons is as a director, I haven't been able to attend meetings at TCA every month because they've been canceling them every other month. For example, they canceled the November meeting but held a December meeting, canceled a January meeting but held a February meeting, canceled this last month in March, and now they'll have a meeting in April. So I am going to announce that the next meeting for the joint board for TCA is April 12th in Irvine at 9:30. So that is the only update we have. We'd probably have more if they held regular meetings, but they aren't doing so at this time. So that's the update for this council meeting.
Thank you, Kathy. Any questions? Okay.
Presentation of a proclamation to Dick Vale proclaiming the month of April 2018 as Donate Life Month.
So, Dick, it's wonderful to see you here again today. This is always a wonderful time of year where we get to recognize a lot of the efforts you're making. Before I give this presentation to you, and before I read all of these whereases and everything here, maybe you could tell us a little bit about your passion for this project and about how you came to be such an integral part of this.
Well, a lot of people, thank you for your time, Mr. Mayor and City Council. The Donate Life program is something probably nobody wants to recognize or do much about, but I am so grateful for it because 10 years ago I received a heart and liver transplant. And if a kid hadn't gone to DMV and signed up for the pink dot on his license, I wouldn't be here today. So the organ transplant program is a wonderful program. There's 120,000 or more people right now and throughout the country waiting for a transplant. Heart, liver, tissues, and so forth. So it's a great program. Everybody should have the pink dot on their license.
That's great.
Yeah.
You know, I hear great stories about that all the time about, folks who died tragically under the terrible circumstances, but ultimately are able to do something positive from it. And the families are, they get to see the results of that. It's always wonderful. Yeah. Some of the statistics that are part of this, just to give you an idea of how meaningful this is, it says that whereas more than 118,000 individuals nationwide and almost 21,000 in California are awaiting organ transplants, and every 90 minutes one person dies while waiting for a donated organ. And whereas more than 600,000 units of blood per year are needed to meet the need in California, and at any given time, 6,000 patients are in need of volunteer marrow donors. And whereas a single individual's donation of hearts, lungs, liver, kidneys, pancreas, and small intestine can save up to 8 lives, tissue donations can save and enhance the lives of 50 others, and a single blood donation can help 3 million people in need. And whereas nearly 13 million Californians have signed up, so we've done pretty well, almost half of our state, with state-authorized Donate Life California Registry, we could do better. And therefore, I'd like to, myself, Tim Brown, Mayor of San Clemente, acting on behalf of the City Council and the residents of San Clemente, to declare the month of April 2018 as DMV Donate Life California Month. And by doing so, encourage all the Californians to check yes. We want the pink dot on the licenses. That's what we want. Yep. Thanks for being here today, sir.
Thanks, Tim.
Absolutely appreciate your passion on this.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, thank you.
Next is presentation of a certificate of recognition to Kathy Lee, retiring Senior Center Director of AgeWell Senior Services.
Well, these are from me. Here, you can have no.
Oh my goodness.
Beautiful.
Oh.
Lovely. They
Yeah, I
did
don't
one,
allow
too.
myself to cry, but boy, thank
this
you.
wonderful?
Boy, listen, like, wow.
I think you're up there and tell us about your 20 years of service and everything you've done for us.
Oh my goodness, my 20 years of service. I wish I could say they have flown by, and they have. You know, prior to working as the director of the Senior Center, I also worked with the Adult Day Health Care Center, the Leo Fessenden Adult Day Health Care Center, for 7 years. So I guess the best thing to say is that I know a whole lot of seniors. And I don't allow myself to cry, but I have been blessed and a fortunate woman to hopefully have touched lives and help. And I love what I do. You have to. So when I move on, because I have a new adventure, and I tell all the seniors I have to keep it light, that you can find me past, you take a right at the llama, you take a left at the alpaca, you go past the buffalo, and I will be in Los Lunas, New Mexico, doing adventuresome, fun things. And I thank the city of San Clemente's, all of the city council members that have helped me through all these many years. And I also thank the members of the community who have supported the center with their time, their talents, and their financial resources. And I will miss everyone. I'm sure I'll wake up and go, what did I think I was doing? But I will find something to do, and perhaps we'll come back and visit. And thank you for this great honor.
So I have a nice plaque for you, and it says, in recognition for exceptional service to our senior community from December 1st, 1997 to April 13th, 2018, and wish you happiness and fulfillment as you embark on your retirement years. Isn't that wonderful?
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
It'll go
Appreciate
in
it.
my new office.
I love it.
My new sitting room.
I love it. Let's take a picture here. New Mexico is lucky to have you.
Thank you. Land of enchantment. Here I come. Watch out.
Hey! We still have the world's best climate, though, so we'll keep that title. Good luck, Kathy.
Next is a report by Lieutenant Colonel Cook of the 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines.
Oh, he's outside. I saw him.
Wayne, are you ready?
He thinks that's funny.
Welcome, Wayne.
Welcome. Well, good evening. I have the honor of introducing to you the Lieutenant Colonel Warren Cook, who's the commanding officer of 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines. Our adopted unit, city adopted this unit in July of 1996. It's just an incredible amount of time. I think we were one of the first in the nation to adopt a Marine Corps unit. We've had a terrific relationship with 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines. Last Veterans Day, we installed a plaque at Park Semper Fi of the 2-4 insignia. And then in December, the city sponsored a picnic, a barbecue, along with the Chamber of Commerce and the Marine Monument at Park Semper Fi. We fed 1,100 Marines and their families with Christmas gifts, and certainly I want to thank all the community people for contributing Christmas gifts. Lieutenant Warren Cook and 2-4 will be going on deployment, so I thought it would be good to have them come in and talk about the deployment. So, Lieutenant Warren Cook.
Thank you. Hi, Kathy. Mayor Brown, City Council, really appreciate the opportunity. On behalf of the Magnificent Bastards, I really just am here to let our city know what your battalion is going to be up to in the coming months. In 2010, the President of the United States and the Prime Minister of Australia signed a bilateral security agreement that said for the next 25 years, America and Australia are going to do more together militarily. Australia has been our longest serving ally besides Thailand in the Pacific. They've been with us in every major world war and skirmish in between since World War I. So our battalion will be headed to Australia to train alongside the Australians and really serve as a contingency force in the Pacific for anything that happens in the South China Sea, south of the equator. And theoretically, if things go well, we will go into harm's way with Australians on our side the way we have in a lot of conflicts. The battalion itself has been preparing since it got back from Okinawa in November 2016. So we've had a pretty long time to deploy, about 18 and a half months. Most military units on Camp Pendleton and beyond only get about 12 months to deploy. So we've been very blessed in the length of time we've had to prepare and master our warfighting skills. As a reminder, the last time I was here testifying to you all, I was letting you know that 2-4 is the first integrated infantry battalion on the West Coast, meaning we are the first infantry battalion to have women in it. Currently, we have 20 Marines and sailors who are women, and they range from anything from medical providers to infantry women to mortarmen, you name it. They're doing the gambit of jobs. The other thing that 2-4 is doing that's unique on this deployment is we are combining forces with a unit from 29 Palms, an artillery unit, and never before has artillery deployed to Australia. So that's a pretty powerful weapon system, as you know, and some of the enemies that we could potentially face in Asia are going to require a lot of artillery. So we're blessed to have that weapon alongside us. And we'll also be deploying with another aviation squadron from Hawaii, and they will meet us there. And they also bring a significant firepower capability. So overall, 2-4 typically is about 1,000 Marines and sailors, and the force down in Australia and the Pacific will swell to about 1,600. The force itself is due back sometime in the mid-fall, early winter next year. And as Wayne said, we were really blessed this past holiday season to have one of the most spectacular holiday parties I've been a part of in the military, thanks to you and the community, specifically the Chamber of Commerce. So that was great, and I just want to echo Wayne's thanks for all the city does for its Marines. Specifically, that event, as well as other events, I just ran into a woman who's on the board at Shore Cliffs. We're blessed to be able to do some volunteer work at Shore Cliffs with the students there. 2-4 will have about 150 Marines back in Camp Pendleton while we are gone. So if the city needs representation in the way of a color guard or volunteers at a particular event, we are happy to engage, and Mayor Brown, Wayne, and Lynn will have the appropriate points of contact for that. And the last piece I just want to mention has nothing to do with our deployment, but really with 2-4. If you have not been down to the base lately, currently the 5th Marines Vietnam Memorial is being erected on Camp Pendleton, and it's a magnificent piece. So if you're ever down there, recommend going down in the evening, because they've installed lights which are pretty compelling to see that. But if there's anything you need from us, we're only an email away, but the bastards are spoiling for a brawl, and we're excited to deploy, but of course it's a great city like San Clemente that we're fighting for, and all the beautiful men and women, children that live here that we're fighting for. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. We wish you well in your deployment and your journeys. Come home safe.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Members of the audience who wish to address council on matters that are within the jurisdiction of the City of San Clemente, but not separately listed on the agenda, may do so during the oral communications portion of the meeting. A total time limitation of 30 minutes is allocated for oral communications part 1, with each speaker being allotted 3 minutes in which to give his or her presentation.
First is Leslie Power. Following Leslie is Rodell Barber.
Leslie Power from San Clemente. Good evening, Mayor Brown and City Council. My name is Leslie Power. I've lived in San Clemente for about 10 years. We've raised our 4 kids in our current home on 20 VR Mia. On February 5th, we had a detox home move into our neighborhood, actually right next to me. Since that day, the quality of life for our entire neighborhood has completely deteriorated, with 2 major nuisances that these tenants have brought with them. The first and biggest nuisance is the smoking. We can no longer use our backyard because there is constant smoke coming from 18 VR Mia. We can't open our windows. And my neighbor on the other side smells the smoke when her windows are closed. About a week ago, I happened to walk up the street to one of my neighbor's house, and she asked me why I smelled like I had just come from a bar. I was in my backyard for about 10 minutes before I walked up the street. They smoke all the time. It's not one person, it's 5 or 6 people. The second is the profanity and drug conversations that go on. A few Saturdays ago, my family was in our yard, and so were the tenants of 18 VR Mia. They were being particularly loud and smoking. I could hear their entire conversation. They discussed the drugs they used, how they administered the drugs, how they mixed their drugs, and how far the drug dealers lived from them. And these conversations were profanity-filled. My husband and I will no longer let our 9-year-old daughter go in the backyard alone. These tenants are coming off hardcore drugs, sitting a few feet away from our kids. We have tried to work with the homeowner. We've explained to him that his current tenants smoke all the time, use profanity, talk about drugs, have taxis and lifts in and out of our neighborhood, and it's made us feel very unsafe, and he's done nothing. I love living in this community. I've raised our kids here. I love my neighborhood. Our quality of life in our neighborhood has been totally disrupted, and the biggest reason is the smoking that we're all breathing in constantly. Since February 5th, our neighborhood has logged 75 smoking nuisances, 16 profanity-filled conversations, and 3 drug conversations, one that went on for over 25 minutes. Our neighborhood would like to turn in our log that we've kept, because we've kept a detailed log of all the nuisances that we've had going on. I also just want to give a quick shout out and thanks to Beverly and Adam from Code Enforcement. They have called me back every time I have left a message and have sometimes spent up to 45 minutes on the phone with me. I thank you so much for you listening to me tonight, and hope that you will take our log. Thank you.
Leslie,
Yeah.
oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Let's give her a round of applause.
Thanks. Thanks, Mayor Brown.
It sounds like you've already been in touch with Adam, who's in the back there.
Yes.
Are you getting all of the answers you need from city staff? Because we're really quite good on this item.
Everybody's been amazing. I know it's a very difficult situation. Our HOA is helping us. This is a log that we've been keeping for them, but it's pretty detailed. I mean, it's pages and pages and pictures and everything, but we're just trying to go out every route we can go.
Okay. We appreciate you bringing awareness to us.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Leslie. Next is Rodell. Following Rodell is Gene James.
Good evening, Mayor and City Councilman. It's me again.
Hey, how
I
are
bet you know where I'm here. Pickleball, right. Yeah. Just kind of give you an update of what's going on. First of all, my name is Riddell Barba. I teach pickleball for the City of San Clemente. My last class is tomorrow on Wednesday, and we had 17 beginners and 10 intermediates, and went real well. After that, my next class is going to be June 9th and 10th, which is a pickleball camp, so that's going to be going on. But anyway, the reason I'm here is just to talk about the idea, if you, I gave this flyer out to you, if you flip that over, kind of recommendations in my professional opinion, being a club owner myself, and also for us with the possibility of painting some pickleball lines on the court, I recommend San Luis Rey Park, because there is 4 courts there, and there's one, if you look at it, it's kind of going the other direction. So, and also there's plenty of parking there. So anyway, that's kind of, in my opinion, the best location because of parking, and I think logistic-wise, as far as other people want to use tennis courts. So that's kind of what it's about there, and I'd like to help out any way I can as far as recommendations or whatever I can do to make this a reality, because, out of your behalf, I didn't bring in my wild bunch tonight, all those addicted players. What are you grinning at? Chris, are you grinning back there? Okay. Anyway, so that's kind of with that, and that's all kind of what I have. If there are any questions or comments, I'd like to find out where we are with this. What's the next step? You guys got to flip a coin in the air, or, so.
Samantha Thomas, our recreation director, is here in the back if you'd like to chat with her. Really no comments right now.
Okay, all right, sure.
So you can chat with her if you'd like some updates.
Okay, yeah, Samantha, I'm glad you're here, because going to the last meeting, there was a talk about an Adopt a Park program, something like that. Okay, well, what I want to do is I'm here.
Sir,
not on the
could you go ahead and take the conversation in the back? We appreciate
okay,
your
yeah.
time.
Well, I
Thank
wanted to
you.
donate some windscreens, is what I was trying to say.
All right, great.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
No? Oh.
Yeah.
I'm excited about windscreens.
Checks in the mail.
No? She doesn't want windscreens.
Gene James?
I'll use a moment of my time to say my heart goes out to this couple here. I went through it, and Beverly Thompson was wonderful, by the way. Included in the mission statement, my name is Gene James. Included in the mission statement of this council are the words, maintain a safe, healthy atmosphere to live, work, and play. I find that to be fascinating. I ask, do you really feel you're living up to those words, either as an individual council members or collectively as a group? Look at our streets. Look at our surrounding hills. Look at our canyons. We have areas littered with needles. We have open fires. We have panhandlers. We have shopping carts scattered across our city. We have parks with human feces laying about. We have more drug houses opening every month. I ask you, do you take pride in how you have made our city safer and healthier? Do you really think you're living up to your very own mission statement? In the city budget for this year, under police services, a public safety task force is listed as a key initiative with the stated purpose of improving communications to the community. I've been to one task force meeting. In it, I heard one of the task force members inquire at the end of the meeting with these words, "I'm confused. What are we supposed to be doing here? I don't understand." The task force member said, if the members of the task force are confused, you can imagine how the taxpayers are confused. This was followed up by a complete dismissal, interruption, and unacceptable disrespect by the chair towards a tax-paying citizen. What a great way to garner support of citizen taxpayers and open those lines of communication. Again, one more example of an abhorrent lack of leadership. I've grown weary of hearing about Prop 47, 57, AB 109, and the other socialist liberal nonsense that flows from Sacramento. I urge you to overcome, improvise, adapt to your environment. It is the role of this body to formulate a strategy in which we create a hardened target for this city against the behaviors and outcomes that threaten our village on the sea. Stop throwing up your hands in exasperation. Stop making feeble excuses. Stop fiddling while Rome burns. It is not the way leaders act. Frankly, it is grotesquely unbecoming. Ladies and gentlemen, it's called leadership. Successful leaders lead. Inadequate leaders offer excuses. Additionally, leaders are honest. How do we make this city safer? It is quite simple. More deputies to protect our city, not 2 or 3, but more like a dozen. There is fat in your budget. Trim your budget by 5% and give that $3.5 million to Chief Peters and bring on a dozen deputies. Last year we had 78 of our city employees who were costing the taxpayer more than $100,000. Thank you.
Thank you. Adrian Marks. Following Adrian, Trustee Holloway, I had you for the toll road update.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Would you take some time during this?
Sure.
Okay, would that be fine? I'm sorry we missed you. Hi.
Hi, good evening. Adrienne Marks, San Clemente resident. My interest in attending meetings with the City Council was sparked over a year ago with the news of the TCA bringing the toll road here. And I've been active in the community trying to bring awareness about that concern for many of us here. Since then, there have been a lot of grave concerns for all of us, from the toll road to the sober living homes as we've heard tonight, and more recently the homeless situation and the increase in crime. And I felt compelled to come here tonight and just express, I know my feeling and many others, that I don't feel safe here anymore like I did when I first moved here. I don't feel safe in my home. And we hear day in and day out about homes that are being burglarized, cars being ransacked in your own driveway, properties being stolen. And I've personally witnessed transients walking down the sidewalk, literally dropping their pants and defecating on the sidewalk, peeing in between my car and somebody else's down at the beach parking lot. And you know, it's really sad that I find more information out about what's going on with this topic through social media than I do from our own city website. I was doing some searches and found the most recent article was from September of last year. It was a fact sheet about the homeless. And I guess it just seems like there's not a lot going on, or at least it's not being communicated to us what you guys are doing to help us with this. You know, there was the Board of Supervisors meeting where there was no presence for San Clemente a couple of weeks ago. I know that there was another meeting. I wasn't able to attend that one, but speaking for myself, I just feel like this homeless situation is out of control. Crime has increased significantly, and you know, we all have to abide by the laws of our city and state, and it seems for whatever reason they have a pass and they can do whatever they want and there's no penalty for them, and yet we have to walk around our own city and be in fear and, you know, look at people as we're passing in places where we used to very comfortably roam. And it just seems like, well, somebody else brought it up, that we don't have enough deputies here to offer the protection that we need or to deal with these things as they come up. And I would like to know what the city is doing to look at the budget and see where things can be leaned out so that there is more available for the city. And lastly, thank you very much for the work you've done on the toll road with the lawsuit and the IBI studies.
Okay, Adrian. Next is Patricia Holloway, Trustee Holloway.
Yes, good evening, council members. I'm Patricia Holloway. I'm the trustee with the Capistrano Unified School District, and I represent San Clemente. So I'd like to update the council and community on the status of our 2 Capistrano Unified School District lawsuits relating to the proposed toll road. Our intent, of course, is to protect the health and welfare of our students and faculty at all the district schools that are in proximity to or in the path of the proposed toll road alignments. In particular, of course, Route 14, which crosses over our San Clemente High School. So regarding lawsuit number 1, last October, the Board of Trustees voted to join the San Clemente City and Reserve lawsuits against the TCA County and Caltrans. I'm happy to report that our application to intervene has finally been accepted. So we're all in this together now. So we are challenging the freeway protective and cooperative agreements along with you folks. The only exception is that Capistrano Unified is not challenging the settlement agreement. And that's the agreement with the environmental groups. Lawsuit number 2, last December 2017, we filed our own lawsuit against the TCA County and Caltrans regarding the Oso Bridge project. The proposed bridge would be built by the county right across from our Tesoro High School. After conversations with the county, after they broke down, the county offered us no relief whatsoever. We filed the suit alleging multiple violations of CEQA. Among these, CUSD believes that the county incorrectly approved the Oso Bridge project at the staff level when this major development should have been approved at the county board level, not by a staff member, and it should have been subject to its own environmental impact report, or at a minimum, a mitigated negative declaration. But neither of those took place, so just an approval at a staff level. So unfortunately, the trial court ruled that the district passed the statute of limitations. So, so that lawsuit was dismissed. However, at our next board meeting, March 28th, our board voted to appeal. So we are now appealing that lawsuit, and we're committed to ensuring that our students, faculty, and staff are protected from the harmful air pollution, noise, and traffic impacts of the Oso Bridge project and the 241.
Trustee, take as much time as you need to finish your statement.
That's the end.
I had told her that if she came during the TCA update, we'd let her talk freely, and we missed her. So I can't believe you did that in 3 minutes.
Oh, yeah, just coincidentally.
Speed reading. Speed reading. It's a gift.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming and sharing with us.
Of course.
Appreciate your efforts on that.
Thank you.
Yep. Could we have a motion to waive reading in full of all resolutions and ordinances?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ward, second by Doncheck. All those in favor? Aye. Passes 5-0.
Closed session report, City Attorney.
Thanks, Mayor and Council. There was no reportable action taken in closed session. I should note that the discussions regarding Villa San Clemente did not need to occur, so they were deleted from the closed session agenda. On closed session item F, Councilmember Brown, or Mayor Brown, disclosed that he had a conflict of interest in the matter. His wife had been a participant in a recent transaction relating to that property, so he recused himself from discussion of that item and didn't participate.
Okay. All items listed on the consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion without discussion unless council, staff, or the public request removal of an item for separate discussion and action. The public has requested the removal of items A and I.
Okay. I was also going to request the removal of A. Steve? I'm okay. Lori? Kathy?
J.
Item J.
Move the balance.
Motion by Doncheck, second by Ham. All those in favor? Aye. Passes 5-0. Let's start, if we should, with item A. We have some speaker cards on this item. First is Richard Boyer. Richard.
Thank you, Tim, and council members. I really, truly appreciate the avalanche of issues that you've all been dealing with for the last 2 years, and I'm loath to add to it, but as a 25-year resident who has spent 11 and a half of those years trying to prevent San Clemente from becoming a lesser place, and I'll digress and ask a question. What is the value of place? I've had the good fortune to live in Key Largo and Portland, Oregon, Morro Bay. Those places are all distinctive. San Clemente is the same, and it's because we've had good stewardship. And a big part of that is signs. And so I thought I'll just stay out of it when you guys deliberate on the signs. And I brought you all some information that I spent about the last 36 hours straight assembling, because there are examples of good and bad evaluations of sign exception permit applications. Some of them are substantive and others defy logic. And so what I'm here to request is, and it's particularly on behalf of the people that are overlooking the project. When I led the lawsuit against the city, we were people that didn't have any interest in it. That's why the court was able to award us fees and costs, because we didn't have anything at stake. It's different, though. When you're looking at it, those people are stressed out. I get calls, I get emails. What can we do? And I feel like I've let them down, because I thought, well, council knows what to do. These, we got good people on council, but I think you kind of missed the mark. And in particular, one thing that I've heard from numerous people is all those signs on the southwest wall that's the worst place. And so there's this perception that you guys are well-intentioned, but you kind of missed the mark. And so because our municipal code, and I think it's a reflection of stewardship, somebody was smart enough to do something that's not in state law. We have this unique ability, before the meeting minutes are approved, to reconsider an item. And so I'm going to ask you to please agendize that, reconsider it, let residents have their say. Maybe there's something that could be done, maybe not, but it seems to me like there's no real downside to it. So there's my pitch. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Richard. Next is Benjamin Doran.
Hi, Council. Ben Doran, San Clemente resident. I felt compelled just to come up because I think you guys are pretty much the decision makers on this, and it affects not only me but members of the community, and it's kind of in your hands. And at the public hearing, I feel like we didn't really get a fair shake at this. The applicant had appealed several times the decision to not allow the signs, and I feel like as a resident, maybe I can have a stab at it and say, I know you guys have voted on it at the public hearing, but I really wish you'd reconsider. It seemed like at the public hearing that there was some misinformation. It seemed like some of the members of the council perhaps weren't aware of certain things that were happening, and it all happened so fast. And I just think it's worth kind of rewinding and maybe a reconsideration based on the fact that you guys have approved basically 10 signs on that southeast wall. I think Rich said the southwest wall, but it's a southeast wall. The direct east wall has some shelter from direct vision of the residents across the way. There's some canopy trees and the way the slope is. But that southeast wall, from what I can tell, based on what you guys had written in the agenda, or how it went on the public hearing, is that there's 7 signs permitted there. And then there's also the tower. And then there's also project identification signs, which means there could be 10 total signs on that southeast facing wall. And now you guys reduced the signage on the east wall. And like where that came from as a benefit to the residents, I'm not sure. The developer, the council, it's hard to come up here as a resident and just have 3 minutes to like talk. It's not a dialogue, so I'm not used to it. I'm a married man. It's like I start to talk, my wife talks back, and we have a conversation. And so it's kind of hard. It's like there was options that were on your guys' radar, I guess, for the public hearing. There was like a 1, 2, 3, 4, or A, B, C, or D, whatever it was. And at the actual meeting, like before I spoke, and Councilmember Ham said, you know, we asked the public to, you know, you're either in support of what the Planning Commission is saying, you're for what, you're not for it, or you're in support of something alternate. But there's no like definition of like, hey, these are A, B, C, and D. Let's vote on one, or let's pick one that works. And it just seems like I think you guys got it wrong, and I think it's worth reconsideration. And I don't have a bunch of notes and facts and quotes and things like that from the meeting, or from the public hearing. But I think ultimately it comes down to, I think you guys really missed it. I think you need to listen to residents, and I think you need to read the second line in your mission statement, because it's really important that you guys are just listening to residents and don't be bullied by the developer. It's the residents that are here too. Thanks.
Thanks, Ben. Next is Pete Van Nuys. Following Pete is Kathleen Armenteros.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. There's so much stuff that I would like to talk on. I missed the last meeting where this sign issue came up, and I reviewed the video and read the reports, tales about how this meeting went down. The developer, of course, trotted out his paid experts, every one of whom has a financial interest in seeing the project go forward big time. There were a few residents who spoke against it. Hardly anyone in town really understands what's being approved. And we know that this corporation is a bully. They are willing to affect our elections. They are willing to lie and go back on their word. They're willing to paint so-called banners on the sides of their building and leave them up in defiance of good taste. They are a very poor neighbor. Now you have the prospect of signs which are not facing the freeway. They face the Pico Valley. They will blast their commercial messages out all across the high school for the benefit of everyone who lives up in Broadmoor, for everyone driving northbound, coming around the corner and down the hill. He will have his giant thing hanging out there for everybody to see. The benefit of these signs long-term for his business, I have grave doubts about. That whole mall is a model from the 1980s, and retail is leaving those models behind. To have an expert trot up here and testify that the corporation is just facing possible financial ruin and the success of the mall is at stake and we need these signs, that's based on historical data. It doesn't address the future in any way. I wish that mall good. I hope it's successful. We'd all love to see the tax money come down, but they're showing zero imagination in facilitating what that mall is supposed to be doing for the future. And they are showing nothing but bullying and contempt for the future of the quality of life of San Clemente. Thanks.
Kathleen Armenteros, any other cards on this item?
Hello, council members, mayor, Kathy Armenteros, and I was at the last meeting, and I have to completely agree with both gentlemen before me. During that last meeting, it went so fast and jumped from let's choose this one, or this one. There was so much pressure put on our three on the right side, our council members and our mayor, by two members here that were asked to recuse themselves, that it was so blatantly obviously that when they pushed their votes and had already their minds made up long prior before everyone had an opportunity to vote, that I feel like you people were swayed. Kathy, Chris, Mayor Brown were absolutely swayed by those that were not in favor of denying them the right to put all those signs, not just in the face of Broadmoor. You have not all the way down Pico. You have all of Marblehead. It's just not 100 homes or even just 999 homes in Marblehead. It's all of Broadmoor, all of this. Why would you want to do that to the citizens who pay taxes in this city? I am just perplexed by your actions, and I hope that you do not ratify your minutes from the last meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. So no more comments on that item. So just so this council is aware here, we received some information prior to the meeting about the ramifications of approving the minutes, and in a lot of ways it's very conclusive, meaning based on that information we couldn't reconsider the item in any way. And so if, being that that is an item that's under question and our current city attorney is not our attorney on this question, I would like to propose to this body that we continue item 6A to our next meeting for deliberation and for ratification and for, actually not ratification, for approval. And so that, not that we have a motion to reconsider tonight, or not that we do an approval tonight, but that we continue this item until I and we all receive clarity as to what an approval means and what are the ramifications for any other conditions or implications we may have on this item going forward. So not that we want to do anything that's going to promote damage, we just need to push it one more meeting and then take a look at it then.
So I'm feeling like you have information the rest of us don't have. The way I saw this was these black folders were handed to us 20 minutes before the close of closed session. No explanation was given. There's no sense of ownership, except Mr. Boyer now apparently is the author. And so you're saying you've had time to look at it before they were delivered to closed session, and you think there's a risk here?
I just looked at the second page where it says to reconsider an item, that it says simply the motion to reconsider comes before the adjournment of meeting, original vote was taken before the meetings of that minute are approved by the city council. And so if we wish to condition this permit in any way or to revisit in any way, we would lack that authority.
Okay, so my training has been that's usually appropriate when new information has been presented, and I don't see any new information that's been presented unless you have knowledge that there's new information in this black notebook.
I'm not ready to take action on any of this information. What I'm saying is let's punt it to a meeting when we have a council who can answer questions to this item. Meaning, I'm not saying we reconsider the item. Neither am I saying we should open up the reconsideration. What I'm saying is lacking our counsel on this item is not our current city attorney. We have special counsel who's not available tonight. And so lacking that item here, lacking that person here, I think we ought to move this item and continue this item to our next meeting. It's just a simple continuance for an approval.
It's brinkmanship is what it is, to get this 20 minutes before a public meeting when there's been a good, how long has it been, 2 weeks? 4 weeks?
It's been, yes, it's been a month.
Yeah, and so there's been 30 days for anyone who was unhappy with that decision to come forward. And so 20 minutes before a public meeting to come forward is a bit political.
It's incredibly political, but at the same but at the same time, the continuation of this item is neither decision one way or the other. It's just simply to do so with legal counsel who could advise us on this question. Lacking that here, I just don't know if I can move forward with an approval and codify something that we couldn't ever really revisit in any way.
So based on what I heard during public comments, I'm going to make the motion that we go ahead and postpone approving the minutes from item 6A.
Continue. That we continue the item to our next council meeting. Item 6A.
I'll second that.
And that we, and then a part of that is we also have our attorney here that could advise us on that item.
I have a question for our counsel. May I ask?
He's not our counsel on this item.
I have a question regarding just generic
question.
Okay,
you can try our city manager or me, probably. That's one of the challenges we have here, is that we don't...
No, this is not right. We don't have a...
That's one of the problems is that we don't have legal counsel tonight, because I asked a question earlier and I couldn't have an answer because we don't have legal counsel here tonight.
A simple question I have, I want to clarify is, we're being told that should we second, or should we just pass the minutes of what we already acted on a month ago? That we can never, ever, ever, ever come back on something that we approved at one time and change it. So we can never rezone anything, we can never pull back on anything, we can never change anything that a prior council's done because we voted on it.
Actually, we can, I don't know, Scott, do you feel comfortable weighing in on that?
No, James has a communication, though.
I have a communication from the attorney that represents us on us, and if you would like to adjourn to closed session, I'll share that with you, and you can make a decision based on that.
I move that we adjourn to closed session.
And these will be on the Villa San Clemente items that were previously listed. Is that all right?
Okay. Motion by Brown, second by Donchek. All those in favor? Aye. you need to make an announcement that we're reconvening from closed session? Okay. So we did have a motion that I believe that Chris made, but I don't know if I recognize the motion. Did I, Joanne? Do you know?
Yes, the motion was made by Mayor Pro Tem Ham, seconded by Councilmember Ward.
Okay.
To continue consent calendar item 6A to the next meeting and have special counsel
So
available at that meeting.
I'll formally rescind my motion.
Do I have to rescind a second?
Yes.
I'll do that also.
Okay. So here we are. We now stand on balanced ground here. We want to ensure that we are taking steps the correct way. This council is, I believe, of one mind on this item regarding this item, and in the interest of ensuring that we're not taking an action that is too final and that ultimately isn't in what we want to do here. I'm going to I'll make the motion to continue item 6A to our next council meeting in April, where we will have the opportunity then to approve the meeting minutes.
Can I clarify that? You're making a motion to continue and not to reconsider?
I am making a motion to continue this item until our next council meeting in April.
Second.
Motion by Brown, second by Schwartz. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Passes 5-0. Next item on the consent calendar is item I. And this was a member of the public who pulled this one?
Yes, and this item relates to an agreement with the Friends of San Clemente Foundation to manage donated pet waste bag stations on public property.
John Dory. Welcome, sir.
Good evening, Mayor Brown and City Council members. Tonight my name is John Doria, and tonight I am here representing the Friends of San Clemente Foundation. We are very excited about this program that is before you today for approval. We have been asked by the city to donate $45,000 as we did last year, and we have every expectation of meeting that need. We have a shortfall this year, and we had one last year, but we ignored it and paid forward, but it's not a good sustainable business plan to keep paying out more than you bring in. So cash flow is important to all charities like ourselves. We see this as an opportunity. We give money, as you know, to the Courtney Sandcastle, to the trolley, to the skate park, and all those kinds of programs. We have before us in the future opportunities to provide scholarships for children, to help pay for the beach concerts and movies in the park, and a number of different things that this community has the joy of experiencing, and it's part of our culture here in town. We're proud to be part of it. So bottom line on this is that we have an opportunity to work with 39 locations. If we can rent those out to corporations and bring in somewhere around $100 each, you can just do the math on that real quickly on a monthly basis, that will add tremendous amount of cash flow to us, which we in turn would then be able to give back to the city. It's also a way for the city to end up with money for their dog bags, for waste dog bags, because we would give 10% of what we bring in for dog bags, which you don't have right now. So that would be money for you, be money for us to give back to you. And I think with a little luck, we might have more money than the $45,000 that we are asked to budget. And maybe we can use that money for things like setting seed money up for pickleball courts and things like that, that the Parks Department just doesn't have the free cash for. But if we can put another $10,000 or $20,000 into a sinking fund and build that up over a few years, we might be able to get to some of the some things that the community can enjoy other than just the $75 here and $10 there that we provide for people for scholarships. Maybe we can put a lump sum on the table, invite the community to match up or the city to match up and get some other bigger opportunities done for our community. So we urge you to vote yes and approve number I. Thank you. Letter I.
Thank you, John. I'll entertain a motion on this.
I'll move this item. And first,
I got discussion because I was going to pull this, but I saw the public pulled it. So
okay.
Waited. You have nothing to say, though?
I was just going to say thank you to your foundation. Thank you for staff for making it easy. And thank you to our consummate sign master here in San Clemente.
So typically, Lori, I was hoping to have some discussion, particularly with you on this, because in years past, you've been the chief opponent of advertising on city property. And so while I don't always share your perspective, it's nice to have both sides of the coin when we're talking about things like this. So I'm going to present my side, and hopefully you'll combat me at some point. But if you totally agree, then that'd be great, too. So first off, great job, Samantha. I think you did a fantastic job with this. Friends, thank you guys for stepping up to the plate on this one. I have two concerns with this. The first one is, to me, that sign looks rather large. I don't want to talk about sizes, but to me it looks rather large. There's a lot of wasted space on it. The second concern I have is if we're actually trying to monetize the space available on our sign for profit to the citizens of San Clemente, I'm not keen on giving away free advertising to a doggy pot or whatever that says. So my recommendation would be that staff goes back and looks for a way to place the advertising actually on the doggy pot. Is that what it says, doggy pot? Decal, because we're giving them free advertising for what? I'm not sure. So those would be my two recommendations. Are they providing the bags
for free or something on that, or a doggy pot?
So good evening, Council. Samantha Thomas, Recreation Manager. Doggy Pot is the vendor of the actual trash bag holder and the trash can below it. Public Safety's Industry, Rick Wilson is here. Once this agreement moves forward, he's explained that he will actually be able to create manufacture his own product, therefore allowing him to remove that doggy pot label, and we can look at the spacing of the other or the sponsors, so to speak, where the friends would go. The other thing we're going to work on as well is lowering the height of the sign. Public Safety Industries feels like they can get it down to about 60 inches, about 5 feet. That'd be about my height, admittedly. So just that would be your line of sight. That would lower the line of sight, certainly along the beach trail, along our trails. In general, just taking it down. And then the trash, everything would kind of be shrunk so that the trash can would be brought up, everything would be closer. Hopefully that would ease that concern of the extra advertisement. Doggy pot, we do get a significant discount, but right now really the doggy pot is just providing that receptacle, and Rick is confident he can come up with a solution to that.
So I would assume then we should have something come back to us with the final product that we would sign off on, right? Isn't that what we're?
I'm comfortable with staffs, with giving control of staff, but I was hoping to get some dialogue with Lori on this one. Nothing?
I was going to mention that also, that before there was the mention that we shouldn't have signs along our trails.
Yeah.
And so what I'm asking, Samantha, is it going to have the Friends of San Clemente on it also and some corporate sponsor? So we'll have two names?
It will, yeah. The Friends will be on there, and I do have, or if you want to, for visual aid. There it is. So the one on the left is actually, these dog stations still do exist within our facilities. The program that Public Safety's Industry rolled out about 1.5 years ago modified it to what you see now on the left and or the right and what is behind me as well. So the goal is to really brand all of these stations to be like San Clemente and for a uniformed release. So based on council's feedback, some of the things that changed was it's all monochromatic now. It kind of blends with the surrounding environment as well. And you can see there's a QR code and another sponsor right here. What we'll end up doing is that QR code will essentially become the Friends logo. QR codes are not a really relevant marketing tool in today's world. So you would see that flipped out. And then this is kind of a close-up of the sign that's behind me as well.
that last photo, and it had a picture of a sign that is blocking from the trail through the sign to the beach. When we worked on the beach trail years and years ago, that was never supposed to happen. And I'm a little bit in shock. This will give us a chance to take that off the beach and move it to the inlet. You should never have.
Can we see that picture again?
Great point.
Can we see that picture again while you're talking about that?
Yeah, that should never happen. You should never be on the beach and look through a sign at the beach.
Thank you.
And so that will give us another chance to go back and review that. That was one of our pet peeves when we were working with everybody on the trail. So that would come out of there and move it to the other side, and any other one that's on the beach side needs to go inland. And I think it's a chance for us all to kind of look at where they are and reconfigure them and put them in the right spots.
Here, here. Okay.
I agree they should be facing the slope.
Any concerns?
Brown will blend right in with the surroundings, but it doesn't blend in with blue.
Chris, you want to move it?
Yeah, with that, I'll move the item. Thanks, staff.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Wilson.
Motion by Ham, second by Schwartz. All those in favor? Aye. Passes 5-0. Next item is item J.
This is the opioid epidemic contingency fee agreement.
Yeah, so I pulled this item. I'm not looking for any questions from staff. I suspect that this thing is going to roll through with very minimal concern, but while I see the benefit towards the end goal of this, I just have some concerns about the way that the funding will be spent.
Item, James? Any concerns are noted. So I'll entertain a motion on it if anybody else would like to move the item.
I'll move the item.
I have a second.
Second.
Kathy, do you want some additional time to read it?
Your concerns are just where the money is spent?
Yeah, so, we've been battling this issue on many fronts in our community as well as South Orange County. And some of the outlined expenditures for potential revenue streams directly combat exactly what we're trying to combat. And so I have serious concerns standing and shouting from this cliff saying that the treatment facilities that we have are unacceptable because they aren't actually providing treatment, and then we're going to shout from this rooftop that we need more money for treatment that we just said was not meeting the standard that we set forth. So I have internal issues with that, and I won't be supporting it.
Your concerns are noted. Kathy, any more other questions on it?
No.
Okay, so we have a motion by Schwartz and a second by Donchek. All those in favor? Aye. All those
opposed.
All those opposed? Opposed. Passes 3-2 with Ham and Ward dissenting.
Okay. Oral Communications Part 2, I don't have any cards. City Manager? City Attorney?
Nothing more tonight, thanks.
Council members?
We'll start on my right. Lori?
Yeah, I mean. Just really a quick update from my CEP meeting. Yes. Well, they all asked for Tim Brown to come back.
I bet they did. I'm sure that was the order of the day.
Yeah. It was a pretty effective meeting. I think what came out of it was that they're organizing and have put together an additional team of experts to help provide them with expert review of decommissioning and of removing of the canisters and of moving it off of San Clemente, of down there and everything else. So we thought that the panel that they're going to bring in to help is great. Nothing that we heard is going to mean that we're going to have any resolution any short time. They are putting it to dry storage now. If people might have read in the new paper that there were some issues regarding defective pins on a new version of the dry storage canisters. Those were caught by Edison. They have 4 units, 4 canisters that they had put in these new systems, and then they had like another 30 or 40 of them that they still hadn't used yet. What they're doing is the manufacturer, Holtec, has owned the problem, have admitted the problem, and are responsible to correcting the problem, which means the new version that we have, they're going to change, and they're going to have to come up with a way to deal with those 4 that are in the ground now. But all the rest going as far as having to get them out, and because there's no method at this moment in time to safely open those up, cut them up here without, because the concept was to go in permanent storage, in Nevada or Texas. So what we were able to get out of the meeting, and a positive note, was that Edison at the very tail end, and I asked for clarification. So I wanted to make sure. I asked for clarification, and Edison said they were agreeable to putting 24/7 monitoring of radiation on site that is accessible to the public to see. So that, I think that, that's,
That's the second question.
that they didn't say because it was just brought up in that meeting. But that is what came out of that meeting, was that that they were going to do that and make it public. So those are the two things that I thought were extremely important that came out of it, and that moving forward with the experts, we'll find ways to better accommodate what needs to be done. But for now, they're moving back into dry storage under the system that has been perfected, and that's going forward. So that was it. Any questions?
I have 2 questions. One is, as recently as 6 months ago, one of the frustrations that the community and I also shared was the fact that there wasn't an inspection program in place before the dry cask storage process began. And in fact, if you looked at the paperwork, up to 20 years was available to create this inspection program. So now, 3 weeks into the process, we have a breach that an inspection program would be useful to have. What's the status on the inspection program? And then also, did I understand you correctly, there are some partially buried canisters that may or may not have cracks, but we don't know?
No, the cracks aren't, there's no cracks in any of the canisters.
Missing pins?
But what it is I didn't want to get too technical, but basically the canisters have long tubes.
Right.
And at the base of the tube, they put in pins to hold them up from the bottom.
Right, so they're vertical.
Those pins cracked, and so the tube just went down. It didn't create any safety problems or anything else. They just heard rattling when they picked them up to put them in, and then they figured it out, it's those pins that are cracking.
But the ones that have already been buried?
Those weren't broken, those weren't cracked, they just, they found them on the empties when they were moving.
At some point, I would like an update on the status of the inspection program.
I can get that.
Thank you.
Two things. The first one is, Eric, I hope you're listening. The DBA is looking for car show advertisers. So if anybody knows of any large car-related industry businesses located here in San Clemente, Steve, hopefully you can direct them my way.
Can't they be outside San Clemente?
They could, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
But, it'd be nice to have a nice local company and give back to the community. So the car show. The second thing I was hoping to agendize or put on for special presentation, one of the upcoming meetings, was to recognize Fred Swagels and his service to this community. He's been serving as our local reporter for longer than I've been alive in the city of San Clemente, and whether you agree with his stories or don't, he's done a service for this community that no one else probably has in the history of the city. So if you guys are comfortable with it, I'd like to do at least a special presentation, form a proclamation, something of that nature, Joanna. I'll leave it to staff to decide what would be appropriate.
Is there any way that we can get maybe pictures of the internet or pictures that we have from the city that involve him, so we could do a slideshow or something?
He's always behind the camera is the
I
problem.
know, but
I don't
I
know
think
that
he
there's going to
actually
be.
got in some. It might be kind
We
of
perhaps
fun
go
to
back to
look
the San
for
Clemente
him.
High School 1974 yearbook to get photos of him.
Staff, maybe get some from the Register maybe or something. We can put something together.
Yeah. So I have support for that, sounds like.
Yeah.
Cool. That's it.
So I just thought I would brief the council. Today, went to the courthouse, Ronald Reagan Courthouse up in Santa Ana, a federal courthouse, and sat in as a representative of the city in Judge Carter's chambers as we contemplated some of the homeless issues in the county. There's obviously a number of concerns about this item from our residents, and frankly, I share those concerns, as does, I know, the rest of this council and city staff does. We were, we've had some input into the process. There's a series of different meetings between the mayors, between the city managers here that we're trying to address some of the concerns of the court. We aren't party to the lawsuit. We aren't party to legal action. We're there at the invitation of Judge Carter, and we're happy to participate in the process. So I just wanted the residents to know that we are actively participating, and we will be a part of these conversations going forward, and hopefully be able to find some resolution to the question. And sorry, I just wanted to, and then for the rest of the council, the state of the city is this Thursday. Going to be presenting out at Bella Colina and giving an update on the state of the city. And then I think that's it. Those are the only two items I'll be updating everybody on. Okay, anything? Okay, then I will, I'm very honored to do the adjournment tonight. The city of San Clemente experienced a great loss on March 27th, 2018 with the sudden passing of the very beloved Bill King, the city's Community Development Deputy Director. Bill was a valued member of the city team, and he will be greatly missed. He joined us on August 24th of 2016, and while he was only with us for a very short time, he made incredible contributions to our city, and he earned the respect, admiration, and the friendship of all those who served alongside him. I've heard a lot of stories about Bill. His wife also moved out here with him to San Clemente. They were a great pair, and we'd like to adjourn this meeting in his honor and his memory, and by doing so extend condolences to his wife, Catherine, to his extended family and friends. Bill, you'll be missed. We're grateful for everything you've done for our city, and we're grateful you're able to join us for a short time. And I adjourn this meeting to the next regular council meeting that we held on April 17th, 2018 in closed chamber in council chambers located at 100 Avenue Presidio, San Clemente, California. Closed session items will be considered at 5 p.m. The regular business meeting will commence at 6. Motion by Brown, second by Ham. All those in favor? Aye. Passes 5-0. Good night, folks.